Good morning. It's 8:07 on News Talk 1079. Welcome to the Neal Larson Show. On this Tuesday, if you'd like to reach the program, you can text. We will open up the phone lines for phone calls a little bit later. And for some reason, sometimes you crave a taco. I'm craving a flash poll today. So maybe it'll be about, I know what it could be about. It could be about Provo getting rid of their Dirtylicious dancing. Did you see that story? All of a sudden, all I could think of was Kevin Bacon and Kenny Loggins singing Footloose. And I know it's not the same. You don't need to correct me on that. But it sort of has that feel where the prudish leadership is pitted against the rebel liberated young set. Anyway, so we might get to that. And maybe the basic question would be, does a Dirtylicious dance class belong in a family rec center? That could be. Hopefully you saw this story. It was. I had to laugh. I really had to laugh. We've had stories kind of similar to this. It has the same feel out of Rexburg, and BYUI has produced some really funny stories. I remember one from a few years back about they got into a marshmallow fight and the police got called because they were at a marshmallow fight or something. Anyway, so we may do that. Also, it's starting to remember for about even to this day, but for about 2 years, you saw it everywhere. People would say something completely unrelated to anything, and then they'd follow it up with, and Epstein didn't kill himself. Like it kind of became the new John 3:16 at the NFL football game or the NBA game. It was Epstein didn't kill himself. And I think that spoke to this larger issue that you can't trust what the official narrative is. You certainly cannot trust government. And if we've come to learn anything, it's that we don't have transparency in government. So someone just sent this to me. Dan Bongino apparently reshared a Truth Social by Donald J. Trump, who put out on June 16th, so this is almost a month old, the FBI, under the direction of Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is back to the basics, locking up criminals, cleaning up America's streets. We have the greatest law enforcement professionals in the world, but politics and corrupt leadership often prevented them from doing their job. That's no longer the case. And now they have been unleashed to do their jobs, and they are doing just that. Keep it up, make America safe again. So, and then he references actually, this may have been sooner. He referenced a story that was in the Federalist from a month ago. I apologize. Sorry, there's like 3 different dates on this. So Dan Bongino put that out, re-exed it, and said, we are doubling down, no letting up. Okay, well, that's very vague. And the issue at hand, the elephant in the room, with all due respect, Deputy Director Bongino, is the Epstein client list, which early on in Trump's presidency, we were promised by Pam Bondi that the list was sitting on her desk and that they're going through it. They needed to redact names and information that could be detrimental to people who were totally innocent and did nothing wrong. So you do have to be careful with something like that. Well, now you have Pam Bondi, who is getting a lot of heat because she is now saying there is no Epstein client list. And we're saying, what? How is that even possible? I mean, you have Ghislaine Maxwell, who is in prison because she was trafficking young girls and helping Jeff Epstein procure young girls for who? Who's the who? And I think that's a very, very good question. And now it's interesting where you have the mainstream media that operated as though the Epstein list wasn't even a thing. They bought the narrative, hook, line, and sinker, that Epstein killed himself and none of the world's elite were on the list, whatever. And now they're all in on the takedown of Pam Bondi. They're just terrible. They're just terrible people. Pam Bondi's botched handling of the Epstein files, reads the CNN headline. Latin Times says MAGA influencer demands Pam Bondi resign amid botched Epstein files. AP News, after Pam Bondi suggested it was, quote, on her desk, DOJ says there's no Epstein list. There is an Epstein list. Now, it may not be an official list that has at the top in bold, this is the Epstein list, but there were customers. Ghislaine Maxwell was securing young girls for someone, and whoever those someones are, they need to be held accountable, and we need to know who they are. And furthermore, and I say, I mean, this is obviously there's a salacious angle to this, disgustingly salacious angle to this, because it involves sex. However, my biggest concern is once you have compromised someone with great political power, in that situation, they are then an asset to you. You can extract certain policies, votes on bills, changes in regulation. I mean, all sorts of things. You can put them in a situation where they're compromised. That's the biggest concern, I think, when it comes to the Republic. And the biggest threat to the Republic is how were our nation's leaders compromised by this? And look, it's not nearly as important, but you could look at Hollywood and view Harvey Weinstein in a similar way, and you wonder, how does Hollywood look different today because of Harvey Weinstein's casting couch? That the decision-making, it may be different based on that kind of interaction. That's the big question here, and that's why none of this passes the smell test. Now, if my research assistant is accurate, Kash Patel has not done an interview for about a month now. Kash Patel used to do interview after interview. He used to do multiple interviews a week, and it's been a month since we've heard from him. Dan Bongino. This is the earlier version of Dan Bongino. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's almost a minute long, but you'll get the gist here.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
Okay, so I just played the whole clip. All right, so that was Dan Bongino about 3 years ago. This is Dan Bongino just a few short weeks ago.
He killed himself. You want me to get... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay, and then you add to that Pam Bondi saying there is no client list. Now, I look at this and, you try to make sense of the world. You look at things that are happening and you say, okay, this is a piece of evidence. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to try to understand it through this angle and through this lens. And one of the things, as a highly trained thinker, that I try to do, I was channeling my inner Rush Limbaugh there. One of the things that I try to do when I analyze what's happening in the world is don't jump to one conclusion and then hold to it. I think that's a foolish thing to do. All sorts of bad things can happen when you do that. Russia-Trump collusion happens. That turned out to be a hoax. You have Christopher Tapp gets arrested and spends 20 years of his life in prison because people jump to conclusions and then they cling to it. They become married to it. So I don't want to do that. I want to say, what are all the possibilities here? The most generous interpretation that I can give to this is that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, acting in good faith, are truly diffusing a figurative bomb here. They've got to figure out how to gut the deep state out of our alphabet intelligence agencies, as well as the DOJ and other agencies across our very vast federal government. And you can't always do that pedal to the metal. You can't always just go in with the accelerator fully depressed and get, even though that's the speed we want. That's the speed that I think they indicated it would happen. There were going to be big changes, and that people were going to be held accountable, and that we were going to get to the root of this and root it out. And maybe it just takes more time, and it takes a lot of caution, and they have to be very, very careful about how they proceed. And one of the things that happens, and this actually happens in law enforcement sometimes will put out information that is false so they can create a reaction somewhere else that they are surveilling. And it can help them in their investigation to catch the bad guys. Maybe this is part of an operation to create complacency in part of the FBI that they're, I don't know. Look, I'm trying to be as generous as I possibly can. What I think is probably more likely is they've gotten into this, they've looked into it, and they realize it's too late. The deep state is so embedded, and they are holding hostage too many secrets. They are leveraging too much for them to actually tell us who was on the receiving end of Ghislaine Maxwell's efforts to procure children, young girls mostly. And that, to me, it does not pass the logic test at all. Maybe there is not an official list. Maybe Jeff Epstein did not have a little notepad that he wrote down every customer and client. And, let's face it, it's kind of a sting operation. You go in and you extort. You create a scenario that a politician or a business leader or someone with a tremendous amount of influence or money, and they absolutely cannot lose their careers and their fortunes, and they will do anything to protect that. And maybe that anything, if it were to get out and put in place, would be more harmful to the country than just going along. And this is absurd. I don't think this is the case. But to explain it, because we kind of live in this naive world where we think, well, there are no conundrums. You just always do what's right, like choose the right path. And we know the world's messier than that, and it's not always that easy. But if you had, there are probably politicians that know top secret things about our country and have the nation's national security secrets. And they've said these will get out. They'll make their way to China. All it takes is the click of a button. And so if you release this, we will lose all of our national security secrets. Now, that's sort of high stakes. That sounds like a really cheesy political movie. So I'm not saying I'm writing a movie script here, but it sounds like a really cheesy movie script. But there may be things that are similar to that are going on. They have leverage somehow. And the leverage, if they were to use it, would be worse than if we just told everyone the truth. Maybe they're in that kind of a situation. It's sad, and I will say it's a letdown. I think that if Trump doesn't address this, and here in about 40 minutes, he is going to be holding one of those public cabinet meetings. The media comes in, they stand against one wall, and Trump goes through, and every cabinet member kind of talks about what they've been doing. And they do take questions from the press. I would be shocked if this question does not come up about this. And I look at this and I feel like it's going to be discussed and talked about. And if there's a lot of pressure and the Trump administration has taken too big a hit on this, I think Trump will act. And I don't know if he makes a change with the AG. I'm not sure what happens, but I don't think that he'll leave it unaddressed, because that isn't Trump. So you have that. So we will take phone calls later on this. I'd like your take on this. I'm open to different perspectives on it, but I think it's very clear, and we can all agree that what was promised to be delivered has not been delivered. That if knowing who was involved in the Jeff Epstein scandal was an Amazon package, it didn't arrive in 2 to 3 business days. And you're not real happy with Amazon and the delivery. And so far, it has been incredibly underwhelming in terms of finding this out. So we will, again, like I said, we'll open up the phone lines. Looking forward to taking your calls on this. There is more to talk about as well politically, and we'll get to a lot of that. The floods in Texas, very, very politicized. But you know what? I'm kind of happy, because I feel like, not happy about that, it being politicized, but I think the backlash has been appropriate. And that is the one of the signs of a sane society, is they don't put up with it. We'll be back after this. It's 8:25 on News Talk 107.9. Okay, it's 8:30 on News Talk 107.9, and we want to hear from you. 208-542-1079 is the number to call on the Stones Automotive Group and text line. Julie wearing her green shirt or green dress today.
Green dress today, and I have already warned Neal Larson I have not had breakfast, and by the 9 o'clock hour, I might get hangry. So
my life is in danger. I just want everyone to know. Please pray for me.
If it gets really saucy from 9 to 10, there is an explanation.
You know what? I've already messaged Jim, our general manager, and said I want hazard pay. I think I deserve a premium on top of my salary if I have to work with a hangry Julie Mason.
It's a rough work atmosphere.
Oh, man. Yeah, it really is. Like, yeah, you wouldn't even
It's
believe
a war zone.
The things that she said. Like, I can't stand you sometimes. And I'm like, you just need
You need a protein bar.
You need an oatmeal cookie. Oatmeal raisin cookie.
That's just going to trigger more hunger pains if you keep talking about good stuff like that.
Like the ones that are soft and chewy and warm
at your own
and
peril.
Delicious and... All right, 208-542-1079. Julie, I think we are going to do this flash poll next hour.
Okay.
Maybe we ought to do it this hour before that cabinet meeting starts. I don't know how much of that we're going to carry. Like, we'll carry some of it. We'll listen in on it. I am not promising wall-to-wall coverage of Trump's cabinet meeting this morning.
It is Trump, and it'll probably start late. Let's be honest.
That's true. But I do want to ask our audience, does a class named Dirtylicious Dancing belong in a public rec center it could be any. Some cities would be fine with it. Mm-hmm. This is Provo, Utah. And there were complaints, and you had some people, good, fine, upstanding community members that felt like Dirtylicious Dancing was probably not a class that belonged at the Provo Rec Center.
Okay, would it have made the cut in East Idaho? Meaning, could it have been a class at a rec center in Blackfoot?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't.
So they're just way too uptight. They need to fix their knickers in.
Well,
Provo.
maybe. I think Rexburg might have been iffy.
Okay.
But I think Pocatello, Blackfoot, even Idaho Falls. I don't. If you went to your local city rec center and there was a Dirtylicious dance, I mean, I don't know. It just. I love saying it because it makes the room awkward. Like, what is a 52-year-old man doing saying the words Dirtylicious?
In reference to a fitness class.
Yeah, right. And so like it's for some reason I've grown fond of making situations awkward. Mm-hmm. What is that?
You've been doing it since you were 6.
I don't
Come
know.
on.
It's like eating jalapeno peppers. It hurts your mouth. Well, they don't anymore. But like habaneros or something really
you're
hot.
dulled to the sensation.
I know. And now it's kind of the same thing. I like the discomfort of awkwardness, and it's weird. But anyway, I think probably 60% of the towns in Idaho, East Idaho, I think you would have a few people that wouldn't like that their rec center has Dirtylicious dancing.
So what could we change it to? Scandalous yet appetizing fitness class? Like what are you gonna
spicy grooves, spicy moves. I don't know. Something.
I don't know either.
Swinging is fine, but Dirtylicious is a swing too far.
In reference to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh, is okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because they're the swinging group.
Yeah,
and apparently swinging is happening pretty prevalently in Utah. So
right. I mean, there is a thing. This isn't a direct correlation here. But obscenity is defined by community standards. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and this may still be true, maybe not, I don't know for sure, but KSL TV in Salt Lake, they didn't air Saturday Night Live because...
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious. Yeah, they opted out of Saturday. They had to get special permission from NBC to not air Saturday Night Live because, Saturday Night Live is edgy and racy and, So
Hans and Franz,
now
step too far.
Now it almost feels church lady. Wasn't that special? I don't think it was Hans and Franz.
That Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Smoking doobies down by the river.
Right, yes. They and maybe there were just certain episodes I'll have to go back. It's been years since that happened. They're probably doing it now. They're saying it's the story of Footloose. I will say it's a little different than Footloose. It has the same tone. I will agree with that. But they wouldn't allow dancing anywhere in Footloose. Like in their town, nobody could do that kind of dancing. Like it was this. That's not what's happening in Provo. The Provo Rec Center is just saying, we're not going to be offering Dirtylicious.
I'm wondering if the husbands and the boyfriends are the ones that are most upset about the fact that this class is going away. Like, can you just see a bunch of plumbers sitting around talking to each other going, my wife's been going to the Dirtylicious fitness class.
Yeah, right. Maybe. I don't know. So it would be the same at Footloose if, they were going to the local gyms or Planet Fitness or something and saying, I'm sorry, but your women can't wear leggings and you can't have your Dirtylicious dancing class. That would be Footloose. That's not this. They're just saying, this is not the kind of offerings we're wanting at our own rec center.
Okay. I find it all funny. I do too. I think it's hilarious that there are people this upset when there's so many other things going on in Provo. Have they been on the BYU campus lately?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
That is true. That is true.
I don't think this is the most scandalous thing that is shaking the rafters of Provo.
So I do think they probably should have Provo-ized the name a little bit before they started the class.
That's why I was trying to come up with a different name that wasn't so...
Yeah.
I don't know. Like...
Shakealicious or something. I don't know. Shake-a-rama.
Pole dancing was too abrupt?
Yeah, probably. We already went through some of these early on this morning in the 6 a.m. hour, but, I'm going to show you my ankles,
I like your tan line one better.
You like that one better? Okay, gotcha.
Well, now you got to tell them.
But, what did I say?
You said we were coming up with different names. You said, show me your tan lines fitness class.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That probably might have had a better chance of surviving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do...
Shake those porn shoulders fitness class.
Shake those... No, that doesn't... I mean, I like where you're headed. But I think it needs a little work. Shake your porn shoulders might...
Give me a shimmy.
I love you, Julie, but I don't know if Shake Your Porn Shoulders is going to be a great name for a dance class. You know what? We'll call it the flash pole dance today. That's what it will be. That's what we'll call it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
there you go.
And it will. And you know what? You can early vote. Let's do an early text vote. We'll do the actual call-in a little bit later. Does a Dirtylicious dance class belong at the Provo Rec Center?
Okay.
At your local conservative community rec center.
Flash Policious.
Yes. People are texting and all sorts of yeah. Okay. There's some we cannot say. We'll be right back after this. It's 8:40. 8:45 on News Talk 1079. And so apparently Dirtylicious is trademarked. It's probably like Zumba or something like that, where it's a national brand. And to use the program, you can't.
I can't imagine they can change the names.
Probably not.
It says Dirtylicious operates in gyms and studios across Utah, Arizona, Hawaii, Texas, and Florida.
Okay.
Would it make them feel better if you had a code name for it on the website and everything? Like I mentioned to you that you could call it DL Fitness instead of Dirtylicious Fitness.
Yeah. Right.
Would that make everyone feel a little bit safer?
You're not putting Dirtylicious out there? How about this Flirtylicious?
Well, I don't think you can. I don't know how much you can change it.
I know. You're right.
I don't know. I'm also going to say, now that I've pulled this up online and looked, these girls aren't scantily clad.
No, they're not.
They're in regular fitness clothes.
Yeah.
You can walk in your local gym and you'll see far more than you're seeing in this class.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've hit the it's kind of ridiculous mode.
When you actually look at it, and I mean, you see that kind of dancing at almost every fitness plate.
Yeah.
Like I don't the actual dancing itself. Because they had some B-roll footage of it on a well, it's actually on their website.
Would it make them feel better if they did the hokey pokey?
Maybe.
Play Duck, Duck, Goose, and then you start the actual fitness class.
What if you started it with an opening prayer?
Oh, that would work.
Would that be okay?
That would work.
Okay. Okay, now I'm in trouble. Yeah. Okay, Julie, another controversy. We could actually have another flash poll on this. Mm-hmm. Apparently, an Idaho lawmaker worked to legalize
Redmond.
Ivermectin, and then he has a pharmacy and immediately began to sell Ivermectin over the counter. Do you have a problem with that?
I don't. Here's why. All the lawmakers do it.
Yeah. Well,
this is a very obvious connection, and he will profit from it.
Yeah.
But all the lawmakers do it. All of them. If you're in agriculture, you're going to take special care of the things that pertain to your business. If you're insurance, you're going to take special care to things that pertain to your business. All lawmakers do this.
Yes. So here's the heart of this story. Representative Jordan Redmond, a Coeur d'Alene Republican who owns Medicine Man Prairie Pharmacy in Hayden, disclosed as required in a committee hearing and on the House floor that as a pharmacy owner, he had a conflict of interest in sponsoring and voting on the legislation. But after lawmakers made these declarations known as Rule 80 in the House and Rule 39 in the Senate, they're still free to vote on the bills in question unless they volunteer to abstain. Lawmakers are required only to state that they have a conflict of interest, but not to divulge the exact nature of the conflict. House Minority Leader Ilana Rubel, a Boise Democrat and attorney, previously told the Statesman there's actually very little disclosure around it. The public doesn't really get a lot of insight into what exactly the conflict is. Well, in this case, we do know what it is. So I don't know why.
It seems pretty obvious.
Why she's griping in this case. He owns a pharmacy and he's voting on a bill that could economically benefit his pharmacy. Redmond, who's not a pharmacist or a medical professional, did not respond to messages requesting comment for the story. And Richie Epping, a constitutional rights attorney who's fought legal battles against the legislature for years, raised concerns in a previous interview with the Statesman about the relative toothlessness of the ethics rules governing lawmakers' behavior. I don't really see. I mean, his competitors could now sell Ivermectin over the counter. He's not doing this so it benefits solely him.
It's not exclusive to him.
Yeah, and furthermore, where he owns a pharmacy, he's in the industry, it's natural that he would come to the table with insight, with opinions about it. Like, I can see, and you know what? I think we've had lawmakers that are in the insurance industry. Sometimes they weigh in on issues that some have argued benefit them and their industry. So, yeah, I think this kind of stuff, it does happen, which is why we have the Rule 80 in place so that they'll disclose it.
Okay, well, let me present this from a different angle. We finally were able to interview Stephanie Mickelson. She agreed to do an interview with us when we were talking all about water.
Yeah.
That's her wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
Agricultural. She has a stake in this game. Why do we consider Stephanie Mickelson an expert in that area? Which I would.
Yeah.
I would say that about her. Why can't Jordan Redmond be an expert in this area?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It is the same thing. It is the same thing. Redmond told the Statesman in April that the issue hit his radar because he received a ton of emails from constituents who wanted to see Ivermectin available over the counter without a prescription. It was late in the session. We had already shut down the House committees, so I just ran a personal bill, just getting it out there, signaling that, maybe next year we pick it up. But House and Senate leaders were enthusiastic. They wanted to push the bill through this year, he said, and it moved through both Republican-dominated chambers in little more than a day. He said he wanted to increase Idahoans' access to the drug, especially in rural parts of the state where doctors are scarce and prescriptions can be hard to come by. So
I could also take it from this angle. Don't you appreciate that it's now being offered in the correct
dosage.
Consumer area with the correct dosages and a person to ask questions about, a trained pharmacist who you can say, hey, I've been taking that Ivermectin for 2 weeks. This is happening. Or, I mean, before, if they're getting it at like your local cow ranch, you're not getting that expertise behind it.
Yeah.
So isn't this a positive?
Well, if you look at although it says Cow Ranch, a farm and home store, and so much more. So it falls under the and so much more part. But anyway,
a little bit of home, too.
Right, that's true.
Because it's in everybody's medicine cabinet.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, let's take a break. We're kind of full of it today.
Yeah, I'm still hungry.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm trying to stave it off by making Julie laugh. I'm trying to stave off her
smart move over there.
Hangryism. We'll be back.
She has work back in the U.S. starting on Monday. She works for Morgan Stanley, and hey, come on now. She works for Morgan Stanley, so if any of y'all have some connects and get her a couple extra days off so she can, we can keep this rolling, that'd be great.
That, of course, was Ben Shelton calling out Morgan Stanley saying, hey, give my sister more time off so she can stay and watch me play, which I thought that was pretty. They did. They gave her an extra week off.
They gave her a week off. He is now, is it the semifinals? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Quarterfinals? I think it's quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And he's the Cinderella story working his way up through, and he's in the quarterfinals. I think that's what it is. And he thinks his sister's his good luck charm, so he wants her there.
Yeah. Well, everybody wins here. Morgan Stanley giving her an extra week off, and if it lasts longer than that, they'll probably give her more because, it gave them a chance to look like the good guy. He's looking out for his sister. She gets time off and can watch it. I love these kinds of stories because everybody wins in this case.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun. And fun for him.
Yeah.
It's always great when you're kind of an unknown and you get to do big things.
Yeah, good for him. 8:58 on News Talk 1079. We've got another hour coming up. President Trump is holding a cabinet meeting. We'll be watching that and more. And that flash poll. Looking forward to that. All right, welcome back. Hour 2, 9:07 our time, 208-542-1079. It's Tuesday. Neal Larson, Julie Mason, and y'all. And this is by far the biggest radio audience in East Idaho this morning on a Tuesday. Right? I mean, come on.
Is that like having one son and saying you're my favorite son?
Sort of, maybe. No. We actually really value our audience. Great loyalty and listenership today. So we are awaiting a cabinet meeting. Apparently around now, we were supposed to have a cabinet meeting underway. I do not see that happening yet. So we'll keep an eye on it. And there are other things that are going on. The left is trying. I feel like nothing that they have said about the early warning system, about the weather service being understaffed, none of that seems to be getting any traction whatsoever. All of the political points that the left and the media are trying to make, they don't really seem to be taking over the narrative. I think most people right now are like, let's save as many people as we can and let's help those who have lost everything.
Well, I said to you earlier, there is no story here. And what I mean by that is they want more to the story than the fact that it was a natural disaster, a tragedy that killed over 100 people. That's not enough of a story for them.
Yeah.
They want more story there. And there just doesn't seem to be anything more than that there's more than 100 people dead. And that is the story, and it should be the story.
Well, it's not unlike whenever we see a mass shooting. Mm-hmm. They start saying, where can we find the political failure here? Mm-hmm. Where can we go in and take elements of this terrible thing that happened and use it against the people that we don't like politically? They're doing the same thing with this. And I don't think it's landing at all. I think most people in America are like, knock it off. Let's help out the people in Texas. That's what we need to do right now.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the great stories that is coming out of there is that the neighboring states, the people, they really do a great job of taking care of each other.
Yeah. In
the South like that, it's good to hear. They've got local grocery stores that are stepping up and feeding people. Just good things. So much search effort going on, cleanup effort now going on. All good stuff.
It's one of the silver linings, I guess, of tragedies like this is you see the best in some people, mm-hmm. and it's gratifying to see that.
Yes.
So, okay, so we have that. The big beautiful bill, Julie, is passed. The sun has come up several times since Trump signed it on Sunday.
You mean the world didn't end?
No, I mean the sun came up on Saturday morning. It came up on Sunday, Monday, and it came up again this morning. So it's just amazing.
Who would have guessed?
I know. I never would have based on the rhetoric, but here we are. We're okay, and we're going to get through it. So we've got that. Plus, do we do the Dirtylicious thing really quick?
Sure.
Flash poll.
Sure.
And I think we don't mean to make light of this.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's funny. It's a great story because it's why Footloose was a really popular movie, because you're pitting traditional conservative values that may be over applied. And in this case, you have the Provo City's Rec Center, and there was a dance or a class called Dirtylicious, and apparently that's part of a national brand. They've got locations, and it's like a Zumba or one of the other trademarked exercise programs. And it's got a slight sexual overtone to it.
Sure.
Is that fair to say?
Sure. But isn't there other things?
I will say it is tame to just about every Super Bowl halftime show I've ever watched.
It's probably tame to the high school performances that are happening at the basketball games.
That is true. Like if you watch any athletic event and they have dancers or what, it's no more provocative than that.
Mm-hmm. When we went to the website, I thought I would see, maybe some scantily clad women. They're just in everyday exercise clothes.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear that. We watched a full routine, maybe like a minute and a half of a routine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
I didn't see anything on there.
It's very Zumba-like. Very.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
guess the word is just too much.
I think it is. I really genuinely believe if they called it something else, nobody would have had a problem.
Yeah.
So now, does that negate our flash poll?
I don't know.
Maybe we ask, it's a two-part question. A listener had this idea, and I thought it's a great idea. Does a Dirtylicious dance class belong in a municipal rec center setting? And how would you Provo-ize the name of the class?
Yeah, what do you change it to?
To make it Provo-friendly.
Yeah.
Should we do it?
Sure.
Okay, 208-542-1079. Normally we have flash polls, usually about political. I guess this is kind of a political issue because it's about values and, lifestyle stuff. But 208-542-1079, you've already sent in some suggestions.
What did you say you were going to call it? The flash dance poll?
The flash pole dance.
Oh, the flash pole dance.
Yeah, we're going to have a flash pole dance today. 208-542-1079. Does Dirtylicious dancing belong in a municipal rec center setting? 208-542-1079.
Okay, you know what? I want some monetary questions answered.
Yeah.
Are they using any city funds do they have to pay rent?
Oh, yeah, I think so. No, well, I don't know. That's a very good question. I would imagine they
rent,
do.
I think it's hands off.
Really?
Yeah, because you accepted the class.
They're allowing the current contract to end. They're not breaching the contract. They're just not going to renew it.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a case there because they're just saying, you know what, we've gotten complaints about Dirtylicious dancing, so we're just not going to renew the contract. They didn't kick them out. They're just not going to renew.
Okay. The more we talk about it, the more Karen it becomes.
It kind of does. Yeah. See, some of these, they're funny, but there's no way that we can
read them on air.
Yeah.
We won't have a call it dance telestially.
Okay. 208-542-1079. Someone said, when I hear the word Dirtylicious, I think of a donut shop. Just imagine a big old maple bar with chocolate sprinkles on that delicious maple frosting. I think I'm drooling. Okay.
They're not helping with my hanger problem.
They're really not. Okay, Dirtylicious, does it belong? People are not calling in. I think they're afraid. You don't actually have to Provo-ize the name if you don't want to, but
Beehivelicious?
Beehivelicious.
I can't read the one above it, but that's funny.
That is funny. And we definitely cannot read it, but that's G&G Music Factory. That's what that is. 208-542-1079. And I am shocked people are not calling it.
Somebody says, just call it Relief Society Enrichment Night.
Okay. Okay. See, we're going to get hate for this, Julie. We really are. 208-54. There we go. All right. Caller, go ahead. Does Dirtylicious belong in a public rec center?
Absolutely. These women are adults. There's no harm done. Let it happen. Let it happen.
Okay, so you're good with it. Okay, we have our first call-in yes. What's funny is people are not answering yes or no. They're not answering the main question of the flat. They just want to put out their own name.
Yeah, they're like, who cares if they have it? It's just funny.
Yeah. Someone said, don't use a government building. Make Dirtylicious dancing private. Flash poll, no. So they're saying no. They don't think it belongs.
Oh, we've gotten a couple of no's.
They said hell no. Like they cuss in saying, no, that doesn't belong because that's too edgy.
Yeah. Pushing the boundaries. I'm going to cuss about it.
It's 208-542-1079. We're not. Okay, that's funny, but we're not going to
Can't say that one either.
Yeah, no, we can't. 208-542. 1079.
Are there spectators for this class?
Yeah. That one there would be.
There would be for that class, but I do want to know, like, can you go watch the dance class? Because sometimes when you're walking through your local gym, there's windows into the individual workout rooms.
Yeah.
And you can see the people working out.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
I don't know. Is that like, is that creepy? Like, here's a female dance class, and you got mostly spectators who are probably ogling the class. Like, I don't know if I'd go for that, but let's go to the next caller. Caller, what do you say? Does Dirtylicious belong? Go ahead.
I think that it does not matter one bit how they dance as adults. I'm a lot more troubled when I see some of our local dance classes for little kids, and you see those little 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds strutting their stuff. It's a lot more troubling to me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. 208-542-1078.
That's a great question. Is there a little kid dance class? And is it, it's just called like a regular generic name. Well, are they monitoring the moves in the little kid dance class?
Yeah. I don't know. Someone just said it's not meant that way. They need to get their mind out of the gutter. The name of the class is Dirtylicious. Okay, so I don't know if you can say that.
And they are kind of owning it. The people who run the class say it's about liberating women, letting them move freely, like that kind of thing. So they are kind of owning it. It's that.
They're not trying to shy away from it being a sexualized dance. I'm like, but a lot of dance is. They're just willing to call it that. Yeah.
It's just the trademark name of it.
So I do think it is meant that way, but Dirtylicious dances with wolves?
Utah don't care.
Mud Wrestlicious? No, I don't.
I don't think there's any mud involved in this one.
No, I don't think so. Some of these are funny, but we cannot
read them on air.
208-542-1079. So far, Julie, I think there's a few more yeses that it does belong. It's okay. They're fine with it. Than there are against it. So someone else said everyone is such a prude. I'm betting whoever complained does not look good in a spandex. Okay, we're going to give this a couple more minutes, and then we'll call it.
If you watch the video, like they did a local piece with a local TV station, and they showed some of the dance moves, and then you can see videos online. They're not bad. You wouldn't be blushing if you watched the video. That's what I'm going to say.
Like I said, most Super Bowl halftime shows are
far
worse than this.
Yeah.
Someone said, call it whatever you want. Idaho Falls has an epidemic of fat people. We need to get fat people to exercise and slim down. Okay. Tell us what you really think.
Gosh. It's brutal hour on the Neal Larson
yes,
show.
Apparently. And keep in mind, the views expressed by the listeners of this show don't necessarily reflect the show itself. So, all right. We're gonna call it? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for that interesting suggestions here. Is it a done deal? Did Provo get rid of it?
No. I went to a couple of different articles.
Yeah.
It seems like they're willing to because they got such a backlash at the rec department.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to figure out a way to extend the contract now.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. Maybe they're just going to change it to DL dancing.
Yeah.
Why not? Mm-hmm. All right, we'll be back. 9:22. I was shocked we didn't get more people calling in on that. We had a ton of texts, but...
Yeah, a ton of texts. Somebody said, honey, I swung my hips. That should be the name of the class.
Honey, instead of honey, I shrunk the kids.
Honey, I swung my hips.
Yeah. Well, Julie, you were spot on. We're now 22 minutes late for Trump's cabinet meeting.
Yep. Facebook wants us to say some of the stuff that we couldn't say online. Do you feel like we can say any of them on Facebook?
I don't know. Probably not.
Somebody said it's the decline of our culture, basically. I just summed up but when you accept names like that, it's the decline of our culture.
Yeah.
I could say the one that said Mormon. Where was that?
Mormon pole dancing?
Yeah, Mormon pole dancing. We can say that one. Oh, we can say this one. Somebody said, I'm perfectly fine with it if they're totally naked.
Yes, we can say that.
I'm going to tell you, you don't want to watch people dancing. It's the same concept of like nude beaches. Once you get to the nude beach, which I've never been, by the way, but once you get to the nude beach, it's not everything you thought it was going to be.
Then how do you know if you've never been? No, I bet you're right, though.
Yeah. Like, this is not Sports Illustrated swimsuit models.
Yeah.
Parading around.
Yeah. So, here's... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I look at it, and I think there is a Karen element on one side. I also kind of think there's a poor me element on the other, too. Like, there's probably other places that you can have your dance class.
Oh, sure. It's probably more expensive by a long way, though.
It probably is.
They were probably doing the most fiscally...
Yeah, that's true.
Responsible. I don't know what the word would be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just do it at the Steak Center and don't tell people.
We're booking the Steak Center every Thursday night,
right.
7 to 8:30.
Yeah, we have gone too far. What was the story out of BYU, Idaho, where they had a marshmallow fight or something? Do you remember this?
Mm-mm. A pillow fight?
No.
There was the one about the pillow fight that went too far and people thought it was like a domestic violence situation.
No. It was. I can't remember. And Bing is worthless. Okay, we got to go. Here we go. All right. It's 9:26 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson and Julie Mason. And you, if you'd like to reach us on the Stones Automotive Group, call and text line 208-542-1079. So here's a story, Julie. This is out on the Gateway Pundit. President Trump took to Truth Social to praise embattled FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino after an explosive report released Monday by the DOJ and FBI downplayed the scope of Jeff Epstein's criminal empire and flat out denied the existence of a blackmail operation or elite client list. That new report released by the FBI and DOJ under Patel and Bongino boldly claims there is no evidence that Epstein blackmailed elites or maintained a client list of global power brokers connected to his child sex trafficking operation. It also parrots the long-disputed conclusion that Epstein died by suicide in his jail cell in 2019. Conservative voices immediately erupted in disbelief, accusing the Bureau of once again running cover for the ruling class and scrubbing the truth from public view. And Trump basically put this out 19 hours ago and said FBI's back to basics under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, locking up criminals, cleaning up America. Here's the problem I have with the Trump thing. He didn't even address the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm. That we had been promised.
Yeah.
That there's a woman spending I don't know how many years it's almost life, right? Because of her age, she'll potentially, she'll potentially die in prison.
Yeah.
If there's no list, I don't know how she's in prison.
Yeah,
she was curating men for or curating men and underage females and connecting them together.
Yeah.
Well, in order to connect the underage females and the men together, that means you have a list of men.
Right, exactly. And it sounds like what this is saying is that, yeah, there were real victims and real perpetrators, but it wasn't being used to extort them or to blackmail them. And I'm like, okay, well, did you just do it out of the kindness of your heart with Prince Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't, I mean...
You didn't get any return on that?
These elite circles, they don't operate like that. They don't like, you know what? Prince Andrew's a nice guy. I'm going to find him a
16-year-old.
Yeah, we're gonna hook him up with a 16-year-old. No, you're getting something for that.
Yeah, the wording it feels
so
like you're picking and choosing and trying to manipulate a situation.
And then Trump, in his Truth Social, shared an article from The Federalist that is almost a month old, June 16th, with the headline, "The U.S. is on track for its lowest murder rate ever." That's not the issue. I mean, don't distract with a positive headline from the main question that we have, which is Pam Bondi, in the early days of her tenure as Attorney General, said she had the Epstein list on her desk.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're saying there's no list.
There's no list. There's a list.
Okay, let's say the core of what they're saying is true. It wasn't being used to blackmail. You can still name the perpetrators. You can still name the people who flew on the plane, went to the island, did horrible things with teenage girls or younger. Those names should still be out there. They should be prosecuted. Why are we not even getting any names?
There's still a list.
Yeah, there is a list. Mm-hmm. The purpose of it, maybe that's in question, but there's still a list. Yeah. Let's go to the phones. Caller, go ahead. How are you?
Well, good morning. Wow, what a subject. I think I've lost all respect for Dan Bongino and Kash Patel because they haven't owned up to what they promised to do, and I know there's a list. Epstein didn't kill himself because they have paper sheets in that jail cell. That was confirmed. They're paper so that they can't commit suicide. Just in Pam Bondi, she's not delivering either. So I think we're back to where we were under Biden, personally, with cover up after cover up after cover up and nothing being done and nothing being told to the American people of what's going on.
Yeah.
So they're just not being very honest. So
yeah.
That's
okay.
My take.
Well, I think that's shared with a lot of people. I mean, we've had some texts coming in that are still very protective of Dan Bongino and mm-hmm. Donald Trump, and that's fine. I'm protective of Donald Trump, but the truth matters to me, and I don't know why, but they came in on a tear. Like they were going to root out all the corruption. The Epstein issue was a big part of that. About 3 weeks in, they got weird, and they started giving these dodgy answers to the Epstein questions. Do you remember this, Julie?
Oh, I totally remember this. And I don't think this is a one-off issue. They're weird about Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah. We don't have answers about that. We've had some mass shootings that have involved what I would say are clearly people being groomed to create violence.
Yeah.
They're not talking about those. So if you were going to come in and really shake things up, mm-hmm. we're not shaking anything. We're not even hitting the Richter scale.
No, we're not. We're not hitting the Richter scale. It's sort of settled into what we've become accustomed to mm-hmm. in the past. And it's really kind of sad.
Yeah.
So, all right, 208-542-1079. And we'd love to hear from you this morning. So.
Still don't have anything happening from the cabinet meeting. And maybe he is talking to all of the cabinet members first, and then he's going to allow the press in. So maybe the meeting actually did start at 9. They're having a little powwow, and then the press will be coming in.
Okay. Gotcha.
Maybe that's what's happening.
Yeah. All right. 9:33 on News Talk 1079. We'll be back after this.
Okay, Glade says your marshmallow story is from March 7th of 2014. It's in the Local News 8 archives.
Oh, good. Okay. Let me go to Local News 8. Thank you, Glade, by the way.
Mm-hmm. He says he can't pull up the article, but that it's referenced somewhere. So maybe you'll have better success.
March 7th. That goes back to before we worked together.
Mm-hmm.
Marshmallow, Rexburg, police. I don't get anything under BYUI. I don't see anything.
What is the crux of the story? They got in a marshmallow gunfight, but they thought it was a real gunfight?
No, yeah, something, and police got called, and I can't remember the details of it. I just remember it was so ridiculous.
Have you ever had the police called on you? Ever been in a situation where you've had to answer to police?
No. I mean, other than a traffic ticket or something, but no.
I came home my first year of college. I wasn't there. I wasn't at the apartment when this all went down. But they were shooting the BB gun off the balcony, and they got the police called on them. I guess the police visited the apartment. Like I said, I wasn't there. I was on a date.
Yeah.
And they lied their way out of it. They hid the gun. Not us. A bunch of girls shooting a BB gun? No way.
What? Cops were probably just going, oh.
This is what we get for living in a college town. That's what the cops were saying.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for that stretch.
Also, I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what's going on with Facebook today. It does seem a little wonky. And if it's delayed for you, big apologies. I tried to play a video on my computer earlier. It wouldn't upload the video. It's a little angry this morning. It didn't eat breakfast either. So
it didn't? Mm-mm. So it's hangry too.
Yep.
I can't find anything.
I think that's the only time. I did have a cop show up at my house once in the middle of the night, which was a real jerk move by him because it woke me up and I was there alone.
Oh, what did
my husband was out working at the site. He did it on purpose because the people who previously lived in that home, so I was the second owner of the home, and the people who previously lived in that home had the last name Hayes. Hay, no E, I believe. I think it was Hays.
Yeah.
And somebody had shot a cop with that last name. And this was a cop just trying to find a lead. And so he did it. It was like 2:00 in the morning, asking me if I knew this person.
Oh my, so it wasn't urgent.
Oh, it was a jerk move. Total jerk move. And a good learning experience for me because I never should have opened the door. Thank you, James. I'm going straight home, so I will grab some food when I get home. There's plenty. I made a very wintertime meal for dinner last night. Homemade tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. There's soup left over, so
yeah,
I will warm that up and eat it as soon as I get home.
Do you want to go now? Because it's 9:39 now on News Talk 1079. Neal Larson along with Hangry Mason. And so I asked my research assistant, because I'm trying to find this story talking about ridiculous. Like, you could probably have an entire social media following about ridiculous things that happen in Provo and
sure.
Rexburg. And my research assistant just says this. In April of 2017, Rexburg police received a report that individuals were throwing marshmallows at passing cars.
Oh, those hooligans.
Officers promptly responded to the incident. And that's essentially the full extent of what's documented. The dispatch log simply states, police received a report that people were throwing marshmallows at passing cars. Officers responded. No additional details like suspect descriptions, motivations, arrests, property damage, or injuries were provided in the available log entry. It appears to have been a minor neighborhood disturbance rather than a major criminal event. Would you like help looking into local news archives or police blotters for more specifics? Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was asking in the first place. So, yes, go for it.
I'll tell you what the motive was. It's Rexburg and there's nothing to do. So they were out having a good time without causing damage. That's why they were throwing marshmallows.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's
the motive.
Why didn't I think of that? I mean, you kind of wonder if you have one of those big campfire marshmallows. Mm-hmm. What does it do when it hits a windshield that's going 75 miles per hour?
Nothing. It bounces off.
And then away it goes. Yeah, you're probably right. But only in Rexburg would you have that level of curiosity, right?
Only, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd wonder, but...
To have that be the major crime event for a Thursday in Rexburg, Idaho.
Yeah.
There's people all over the country that are like, I wish that's what was going on in my community.
Yeah, you wish that is what... you wish that was the worst story that's come out of Rexburg in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Sadly, it's not.
It is
but
not.
Yeah. All right. 208-542-1079. And still no cabinet meeting.
Nope.
What's the delay? Is this a little weird? I know he's always a little late, but this is very late.
I don't know. I'm looking at all the TVs, not seeing anything, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't see anything either. So
what else?
We have, let's see. Well, no, that's more of the Epstein stuff. We don't want any of that. And
did you see that gas prices didn't rise over the holiday weekend? That was great.
Did they explain why there was no increase?
They didn't explain why, but we're still higher than the nation's average, so it might have something to do with that. But.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Hi, caller. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What's up?
Hey, I kind of wonder if maybe there haven't been some death threats against their families. They're afraid their kids or their wife or something will be Hillaried.
Yeah. I had that thought, too. I mean, something shifted in them in terms of their enthusiasm to get to the bottom of this. And I thought about that, too. Maybe they've just been personally threatened if they do move forward.
If it was a personal threat on them themselves, I don't think it'd bother them that much. But
yeah,
you start messing with people's children.
Yeah, families, people they love. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, another plausible scenario. Thank you for the call. 208-542-1079.
Also, news out this morning that. Eventually, we are not going to have to take our shoes off at the airport anymore to go through TSA.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's it?
No, I was going to make a joke that I can't make.
That's all you've got? So, good.
No. No. There was a lot more going on upstairs than just, oh, good.
That's what it felt like.
Well, the joke I was going to make but did not is, oh, good, now I can put my explosives in my shoes again.
That's not a good joke.
I definitely did not want to make that joke, so I didn't make the joke. And so that's what was going through my head. Like, I was calculating, can I make that joke or not make that joke?
I am the annoying person in front of you in TSA that wears like sandals or heels or something on the plane. But when I get to TSA and I have to take my shoes off, I have a pair of socks sitting there. I take one shoe off, don't let my foot touch the ground, put a sock on, then step down on that foot, take the other shoe off, put the sock on.
Really?
So do you know how dirty that floor
is? Okay. Yeah, I got you. Because people's feet have been on it.
And they're gross shoes.
I know. I get it.
So I don't have to do the whole sock fiasco anymore if I can leave my shoes on. I've also been in airports over the last 5 years where they don't make you take your shoes off.
Yeah.
So I guess this is just nationwide now?
You know what? I've been through a couple of airports in the last few years, too, where they're like, no, just leave your shoes on.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's certain airports that are more vulnerable to people having dangerous shoes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that Idaho Falls airport, it's full of would-be bombers.
Would-be
hijackers.
Yes. All right. 208-542-1079. So Politico, can we talk about Politico for a minute? Apparently they're really upset that Democrats seem to be retreating on the issue of climate change. And this is what they wrote. Democrats retreat on climate. It's one of the more disappointing turnabouts. Donald Trump is coming for California's signature climate policies, and so is California. Stung by the party's sweeping losses in November and desperate to win back working-class voters, the Democrat Party is in retreat on climate change. Nowhere is that retrenchment more jarring than in the nation's most populous state, a longtime bastion of progressive politics on the environment. In the past 2 weeks alone, California Democrats have retrenched on environmental reviews for construction projects, a cap on oil industry profits, and clean fuel mandates. Elected officials are warning that ambitious laws and mandates are driving up the state's onerous cost of living, echoing long-standing Republican arguments and frustrating some allies who say Democrats are capitulating on political pressure or to political pressure. California was the vocal climate leader during the first Trump administration, said Chris Chavez, deputy policy director for the Coalition for Clean Air. It's questionable whether or not that leadership is still there. And then there are some of the reactions. Politico put that out, and Stephen Miller said, hard to act like you still care about the planet when you're out there setting EV factories on fire.
Exactly.
That's
or
a good
that
point.
You are spitting and selling your Teslas.
Yeah.
Spitting on or selling your Teslas.
Well, that's true. When I was in Boise, we stopped at the farmer's market, which was really disappointing because it was mostly just produce. I was trying to find something unhealthy to eat, and I just couldn't.
So sorry for you.
I don't need turnips and carrots. I need a burrito. Anyway, in the parking lot of the farmer's market, there was a Tesla, and it had some anti-Elon sticker on it that said, anti-Elon Tesla owner or something like that. I'm like, okay, you're kind of a moron because you're like, well, I hate Elon Musk, but I spent $60,000 on a car that he sold me. Or however much.
Well, that whole movement is just full of idiocy.
Oh, yeah.
It is so stupid.
Yeah.
And I also don't like the tone of this article because what that's saying is that Politico was manipulating California to do the dirty work. And they're not in our corner doing the dirty work anymore. Like,
no. Well,
that means if you had actual value in your climate change platform, you wouldn't have to rely on just one state to help you out with it. It would have value to multiple states.
So, Julie, you remember probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Democrats in Idaho have created some initiative. They're rebranding and to cultivate.
It was so interesting. We can't even remember what it was called.
Can't even remember what it's called. I don't even know if they remember what it's called. But it was basically doing all the things that you form a political party to do in the first place. Like every list of what they were aiming to do, you're like, that's exactly what the Democrat Party should be doing. You don't need a special brand. Anyway, whatever. And I have offered myself up, Julie, as a free consultant to the Democrat Party for years on this radio show. I've never charged them a dime for my expertise, but I have told them before, it's not some new initiative that you need. It's not rebranding. It's not some snazzy name that you put out there. It's your stupid ideas. That's what's causing you problems. And I look at this story and I'm thinking, they're kind of realizing their stupid ideas are making them a less viable party. And so now they're kind of waking up to it in California, and they realize this policy of rolling blackouts and high energy bills and getting rid of gas vehicles by 2030 or whenever it is, it's just not going to work for Cal. It's just not doable. It's not achievable. And I think you've got a handful of Democrats that are waking up to it, but you have Politico that wants to keep going because virtue signaling, like it's the right thing to do. And I kind of feel like when James Carville, during the 1990s, and he was part of the Clinton team, and he famously said, "It's the economy, stupid." Mm-hmm. I feel like the new version of that, back to the Democrats, is it's your stupid ideas, stupid.
Yeah, like it's policy.
It is. You have terrible, terrible ideas that don't work, and you do want to do horrible things in America. That's your problem.
It's always interesting, too, in California that they implement these policies, but then they lie to the rest of America about the implementation of their policies, right? No, we don't do those things, when they clearly do those things. And the reason they have to lie is because the rest of America doesn't want to participate in any of that. But California wants it because they like to wreck their state, I guess. It's such a beautiful state. It is so sad that what they have done to it. And then they have to lie to everybody because they're embarrassed about what they've done, but they just keep doing it.
Yeah, they do. And admitting that you were wrong about something is a very, very difficult thing to do, which is why I think they're in this mess in the first place. Mm-hmm. Like, if they knew how to course correct, they would have done it a long time ago. If they knew how to course correct, they wouldn't be trying to trans our kids. Mm-hmm. If they knew how to course correct, they wouldn't be, doing 90% of the things that they're trying to do now. This blue-haired wing of the Democrat Party has been the worst thing for your traditional old-school Tom Daschle, Tip O'Neill Democrat. They're just Cecil Andrus. It's not working. Well, why do you think? A couple of weeks ago, we announced that Todd Achilles was leaving the Democrat Party, leaving the legislature, and he's running for the U.S. Senate. I don't know what I think. He's not blue-haired, but I think his ideology matches more closely with the blue-haired wing of the Democrat Party. But he has to present as though he's just a traditional old school style Democrat, but now not a Democrat because they can't get elected in Idaho. It's weird. It's a weird approach for him. Everything out of his mouth is in alignment with today's Democrat Party, but he can't win with the D behind his name. That's the bottom line here.
The question to always ask is, are they hiding something? If you're lawmakers, I don't care if they're in California, I don't care if they're in Idaho, I don't care if they have an R behind their name, I don't care if they have a D behind their name. If they're lying, or if they're hiding, I said lying, which I guess you could say that too. But if they're hiding their value system, then you shouldn't be electing anyone who has to hide their value system to get elected. Yeah, it's true. And I would also say you've got to really look at people for who they surround themselves with, too. Because we have local politicians, regional politicians who have an R behind their name, and their closest allies are all Ds.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
That means something. People need to start opening their eyes.
Well, here's what I would ask. I don't know. We're going to be reaching out to Todd Achilles. I don't know how likely it is that we'll interview him. We were one of the most vocal opponents to Proposition 1, and we feel very proud of our role in warning the public about Proposition 1, because there were lots of things they weren't telling you. And we were critical of Todd Achilles, the way he did the veterans group, which only created this narrative where they could say they're trying to keep veterans from voting. And it sort of was technically true, but it was implying that they were targeting veterans and telling them specifically they can't vote, when in reality, veterans are just like anyone else. If they don't declare their party affiliation, then they don't vote in the Republican Party. That's all it was. They're treated like everyone else. And it would be like forming a veterans group, and some of those veterans may get a speeding ticket, and then they can say they're targeting veterans for getting speeding tickets. No, it's just, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran. You can't get on the interstate and go 95 miles per hour.
You also formed a group, the veterans group, and then you left them high and dry.
That's true. He
You
left them.
never represented them. You left them before the initiative was even completed. So exactly how tied to this were you other than it looked good on a piece of paper on a website?
He launched that group at the exact same time they started the voter initiative. It had one purpose. It wasn't this ongoing support for veterans. It was, we need this talking point. Yeah. And we need to leverage that.
And then you never represented them once.
So anyway, our characterization of Todd Achilles probably is going to preclude us from having an interview with him, which is kind of sad. However, I would ask him this question. Name anything that the Democrat Party stands for that you don't. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to know.
Or that you will proudly represent.
Yes. Yeah. How will you count? You're leaving them and running as an independent. So tell us why. Why, and not some generic, the two-party system is failing. I don't want to hear that. What do you disagree with that the Democrat Party believes in? We'll be back. It's 9:56. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk about this tomorrow because I've already saved it to send to you tonight.
Yep.
Apparently, Kamala Harris filmed a podcast.
Yeah.
It looks like a fairly famous podcast.
Yeah.
During the campaign, she did so poorly. When the podcast was over, they made an agreement not to publish the podcast.
No.
And both sides made the agreement. The person who does the podcast said, I can't be linked to this. And Kamala said, great, I don't want it out there.
Oh, okay. Will it get released?
I know. The podcaster is talking about it now. So we'll play that tomorrow. But yeah.
Who is it?
His name is Kareem Rama's Subway Takes is the name of the podcast. And basically people come on and give their hot take. And when she came on, it was so bad they couldn't publish it.
Oh, wow. Now I want to hear it.
You want to know what she said that was so bad?
Yeah. All right, 9:58 on News Talk 1079. President Trump getting the cabinet meeting underway at the White House, but sadly we're out of time, so we'll have to recap it tomorrow for you. And I'm sure that Clay and Buck coming up, they'll be all over it. And Julie, go get some food.
I know, I'm hungry.
It's been really hard to be in the studio with you for the last hour and a half.
Poor baby.
All right.